I was just reading a news article about how this year we could have our first $1 trillion budget deficit since the Great Recession, basically. And I thought I'd make a quick video to discuss what a trillion means, because I remember when I first tried to visualize it, even though I have a pretty good background in math, I was a little bit astonished. And in 2008, when we first heard about China's $1 trillion holdings in the U.S., I didn't hear about the budget deficit. I was mostly curious about China holding $1 trillion. And at the time, I just started collecting coins. Well, I collected coins as a teenager, but now I actually had some money to invest. And I remember thinking, at the time I was collecting a lot of Eisenhower dollars. And I remember thinking that if China turned all those $1 trillion into Eisenhower dollars, there aren't even that many. The reason I liked Eisenhower dollars is when I added up the mintage figures for all the Ike dollars that were ever made. They were made for 8 years, so 1971 through 1978, and when I added up those mintage figures, it was only 700 million. And I remember thinking, that's only 2 for every American. It's not even 1 for everybody on the planet. And you could buy them for just a little bit over face value. And if you had even a half decent amount of money to invest, let's say you bought 10,000 of them, that's like more than your whole town's share of Ike dollars if they were split evenly across the population. I was thinking in those terms of a kind of naive way to look at it, but I just started collecting coins. I didn't have a whole lot of money to invest in them, and so that's the way I looked at them. So I remember thinking, if China took the $1 trillion and bought Ike dollars with them, they could line them up 1,000 in a row, right, in one direction, and then 1,000 the other direction, and then they could stack them 1,000,000 high. And I tried to visualize what that would look like, and I'll let you do the math and comment in the comments below. But I remember they would stretch across several blocks, as in like blocks in Manhattan, and it would be 5 times taller than the Empire State Building. At the time, we didn't have the Burj Khalifa yet, but I think it would be even taller than that. It would be taller than Taipei 101. Obviously, it would be. It would probably extend higher than you would normally fly in an airplane. I don't remember how high it was. I remember it doesn't quite extend to outer space, though. If you were to stack them $1 bills of $1 trillion high, that might extend to outer space, if I remember correctly. Okay, and then I had another time when I came across $1 trillion. I was working on a problem called Ramsey theory, and there was an unsolved area of Ramsey theory. I'll invite you to read this on your own. It's called R55. So basically, the number of vertices in a graph you would need to guarantee that you have either a clique of size 5 or an anti-clique of size 5. And at the time, it was known to be between 43 and 49. They've now excluded 49. It's now known to be between 43 and 48. I had some results on what such a graph would look like if it existed, and I wrote a search algorithm to find such a graph. And obviously the algorithm wouldn't finish in our lifetime, but I wanted to see just how long it would take, and then maybe I could add some optimizations, maybe I could do some approximations and then find even more results on what this graph might look like. But I decided, well, first of all, I tested my code by using it to confirm R44 and R45, because those numbers were known at the time. And I was able to do that, so that gave me a good fuzzy feeling that maybe we weren't too far away from running it on R55. So I ran it on R55, and I ran what I estimated was about 1/100000th of the entire search. So I cut out basically one branch of the search. I estimated it was about 1/10000000th. I can't remember how I did that, but it was basically, if you branch 2 ways, take half of it and then half, something like that. And I ran what was estimated to be 1/100000th of the program, and that took 1,000 seconds to run. So the whole program would take about 1 trillion seconds to run. And I remember thinking, that's not too bad. That's probably a few decades, maybe a few centuries. You know, I'll get a really powerful computer and I'll run it and I'll pass it down to my children and my grandchildren and maybe one of them will see the result. I was thinking along those terms. And then I plugged it into my calculator to see, and it was 30,000 years. And then I started to think, at this time, I was working my PhD and they gave me my own office. And it was really nice, and actually I got so comfortable with that office, I moved in there and I got rid of my apartment, and it was really nice. And I just started to daydream about the computer being in that office, and the whole office and the campus being buried under several miles of snow and ice, because we would have an ice age, and the computer still busy working away at R55. I started to envision something like that, and unfortunately, I still haven't really improved that program very much. I think nowadays with the improvements that I have, plus the fact that we have faster computers, you know, it probably still take 5,000 or 6,000 years to run that program. But it really brought home the concept of what it means to take 1 trillion seconds. And you know, I wish we didn't have numbers that made things sound so trivial. You know, we talk about million and billion and trillion as if we were counting 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, and it really doesn't do it justice, in my opinion. Our number scales don't really do these big numbers justice. You know, we sometimes talk about millionaires, and then we'll talk about a billionaire, and we kind of put them in the same category. You know, I think it's because most people haven't experienced a million. You know, you would never think a thousandaire was very rich, because most of us have experience dealing with a few $1,000s. Anyways, just wanted to make a quick video about what it means to be $1 trillion in the hole. Thanks for watching.